most pressing issues to light and explore solutions that matter. Today, the 9th of September, marks the International Day for the Protection of Education from Attack. It's a day that reminds us of the importance of safeguarding education, especially in regions affected by conflict and instability. In many parts of the world, schools and students and teachers are under threat, turning places of learning into potential targets. Yet, education remains one of the most powerful tools for fostering peace and preventing future conflict. So how can we harness this power? And what steps can we take to ensure that education remains a beacon of education? Alright, so to help us explore these vital questions, I'm honored to be joined by a lecturer in the Department of Public Administration at Enquiry State University, also a political and public affairs analyst, Dr. Wanabasi. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Thank you, listeners.
Welcome. It's been a really long while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I'm happy I'm here again.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're going to be exploring the role of education in peace building and preventing future conflicts. Can you define the role of education in peace building?
Oh, you know, education is all about imparting knowledge in a nutshell. And when you know a thing, you can be able to handle problems. If you don't have the knowledge of how to handle conflicts, conflict will always overshadow you from left, right, and center. But by education, not only Western education, that would be traditional education, which we have in our African setting, can be any form of education, can be religious education, whatever. Education is education imparting knowledge. Once you acquire knowledge, you are able to quell whatever problems that will come your way. You're able to handle any form of conflict and ensure that there is peace. And the world is seeking peace. You know, that peace should reign anyway. Even when our God, Jesus Christ, came, He came and told us that He will give us peace, not the type of peace that the world gives, but you know, His peace is beyond human comprehension. So peace is very, and it's by knowledge that you are able to sustain it.
Okay, if we have to look at the role of education in the promotion of peaceful initiatives or perspectives, where do you place language? Language matters as well, because it has to cut across the language barriers. So how relevant is language in the promotion of peaceful initiatives?
Okay, language, you know, you cannot have education without language. You know, language is very paramount in impacting education, in impacting knowledge to the people. Language is key. All of us, we have language. It's just that maybe a few persons or a few some setting try to seem to make their language the most important. There is no language that is more important than any, except that by the spread, by the widespread of speaking a particular language can make one language to seem to be more important. For instance, the British tried as much as possible to spread their language. What we're talking now, we're talking English. You know, far away in Britain, they came and colonized us and part their language on us, and we receive it, and we're speaking it even as good as they are speaking. So sometimes we try to forget that we have our original language, which is the Akwa language, either Bibio, Anam, Eket, and and oral language, and so on and so. So our language is as important as this English or French or German or whatever language. But the spread is what seems to make it look like our language is not very important. And how we are even handling our language. I'm happy for the Yorubas, for the Hausas, and for the Igbos. But the Ibibio, who is supposed to be the third largest ethnic group in Nigeria, seem not to be, embracing their traditional language as it should be. Why do I say that? Because at our age, in fact, our children are not even speaking those languages. In schools, they are not encouraged to speak. I remember when I was in secondary school, we were always asked to speak English. And if you must be a senior prefect, you have to know English very well. And so we sideline our language. Language is key. It's very, very important. If I come to you now and maybe there's a problem somewhere in another state, and I speak my language and somebody says, that's my brother, and he begins to speak, you see that there'll be, you cannot do him harm because he's sharing the same language with you. And so language is very powerful in transmitting information and education to the people.
What are some of the challenges in providing education? Because we're talking about education here. Here in Nigeria, we don't even have a top-notch education sector. So what are some of the challenges in providing education? And in places where we have a relatively high level of education, what are some of the challenges? Like here, if you're going to compare the education here in the south to places like the northwest, you'd see the obvious difference is clear. So even in places that we have education, what are the challenges in the education sector? One
of the major challenges of education in this country is the learning environment. Is our learning environment conducive enough? Go to some public schools, surprised and amazed that some children are staying under the tree and or under very dilapidated classroom blocks. Some sit on the floor, and these floors are not cemented. They are just in fact, if you sweep those floors, you see the kind of dust that will take over the entire environment. And so children go there. In fact, that secondary school, go to primary school, then you cry. Public primary schools, you look at the children when they are dismissing from school, and you just watch their uniform, then you will know, you will feel so sorry that these people are coming from schools. So the environment, the learning environment, does not encourage citizens, especially parents, to send their children to some of these schools, because those children might not even notice what we're talking about, might not even know the implication of all this. But parents, how many parents will now boldly send their children to public secondary school here in Uyo, where we are? Many will not, except the type of public secondary school that is that has been renovated and given a facelift at Barracks by the Governor Moino. That's the kind of primary school that our parents of today would like to send their children to. But if it is the type that is, which one should I mention? Let me not mention anyone, but just use your eyes and look around, and you'll be surprised and amazed at the level of dilapidation of our public primary and secondary schools around town. And then you now weep when you go to the villages, the local communities. You see the level of education. The other one is access. Maybe today it's difficult to drive. It's difficult to transport yourself from one place to another. So those of the parents who are in town find it very difficult to send their children to some of these schools that are far away. And so if there is no school around where you live, it's either you have to relocate or something. Transportation is one of another factor. And so another one is insecurity, especially in the Northeast. Insecurity is a serious matter. In fact, something just crossed my mind now in terms of the transport that I'm just talking about. Edo State has postponed the resumption of schools because of high cost of fuel, and that borders on transportation. So if the entire state government will feel the impact of this transportation hike, fuel hike, and so on and so forth, and then they are postponing their evil days, because let me put it that way, because they are postponing their evil days. When do you think that fuel will come down, transport fare will come down for you to open school, for children to go and start school? Because so, except they have a way of maneuvering that with the federal government. So then, what I was talking about, the insecurity everywhere, especially in the Northeast and so on. Children parents find it difficult to leave their children to go to school and so on and so forth. And the number of schools, the Chibok girls, the Dapchi girls, the this and that have been, since 2014. And one key lyrics, one key chorus that the government always sing is that the government will stop at nothing to ensure that that insecurity, that the place is safe for all our citizens. And so ever since 2014 that I used to hear this during the Jonathan's government and so on, and then the Buhari and then Tinubu, they are still telling us, still giving us that hope that the place will be safe for us. So I wonder when that safety will come for us to actually know that the place is safe. So insecurity is another paramount. Maybe another one is lack of education by our forebears. If your father, your mother, I used to hear my uncles used to say, "Oh, my father did not send me to school. So, what's the use? Is that why I'm not living?" And therefore, they don't put too much energies to send their own children to school. And they are producing another set of illiterates. I'm sorry to use that word, illiterate, but that's the thing, because if you are not educated, you are uneducated, you are illiterate, and so on and so forth. What will happen to this generation that you have produced that are not going to school? They are not going to school. Meaning, when they come, they say, "Oh, my father did not." They will also sing that chorus. "My father did not send me to school, so what's the use?" And so on, and the trend will continue like that. It's not good, because ignorance is a terrible thing for somebody. In fact, in our education sector, we say, if you say that education is very expensive, try ignorance. Then you know how expensive it is. Ignorance is very expensive, and you see them take very expensive decisions that will not augur well for the next generation. So those are some of the factors I can mention, just in a nutshell.
All right. Doctor, do you think the government has done enough to actually orientate or reduce conflict and violence through education?
Government is not relaxed. Government is ever working, and government is always trying to ensure that there's no government that will come out publicly and say that there should be violence. even though one of the governorship candidates.
Because maybe through government's action, like shifting, boundary adjustment, and all of that could cause conflict.
I will come to that.
All right.
As I was speaking, I just remember one of the governorship candidates. I would not mention his name. That said that he will ensure that he gives the people insecurity. And one of the former governor was tapping him, tapping him to listen to what he has just said. And the thing is all over social media. And it's very funny. Before you retract that statement, it has gone hellward. So that's not what he meant to say. But he had said that. No, why I said that is no government that he supports conflict. But I want to also say, in fact, as a political scientist, an analyst, and a lecturer who has done a lot of research, conflict, some people benefit so much from conflict. Therefore, they will stay behind and engineer the conflict mechanism for conflict to take place so that they can have their benefit. And if you check, some of these people are in the government. Those who engineer this, most of them, some of them are in the government. And government is almost like a structure that has no human beings, but human beings are there. You cannot hold on to this person and say, if you meet a governor and say, Governor, please, I want this, he will refer you to SSG. SSG, now go to SSG now refer you to a permanent secretary. You go to a permanent secretary, refer you to a director. Director now send you back to before you go back to permanent secretary, he has left the office. So you don't meet. So that's how government is. Except government wants to do something before they stamp their feet on the ground and say, this thing must not. For instance, when the protest was taking place last month in Nigeria, the governor of Akwa Ibom State said no, that this state is peaceful, and he demonstrated it by action. However he did it, he galvanized the entire youth, the chief, the traditional rulers, and the and all the groups, and addressed them and said, this is what the state government wants. And of course, you can remember there was no problem. There was no protest.
Quite peaceful.
Now, the question I ask is, those states that protested and said that fuel prices should come down, we should have good governance in the country. My question is, has fuel price come down? It was the same next day that the fuel price rose from, it was 800 naira to 950. Is the bad governance removed? The bad governance, if they say that there is bad governance, it is the same set of people that are still in government. So some people, some innocent citizens have taken themselves to be killed. There was a lot of killing, there was destruction of property, there was this and that. Whereas in this Akwa Ibom State, you never heard of such issue. So I give it to the governor. I don't know him, I've not met him in person before. Watching him from a distance, and I'm admiring his style of administration. So he has done that for the state, and there is, you can see there is peace, element of peace, and there is there's no conflict, here and there. Yes, you talk about shifting of boundaries. Most conflicts of that nature comes between different local governments. If you go to boundary with Cross River State, you always hear of such boundary conflict. If you go to Eastern Obolo, Ikorabasi, in Barenin, where the former governor Odo Emmanuel came and established the coconut factory, it was a way of managing the conflict that used to happen because of that piece of land that these three local governments shared. He said, okay, since there is this a lot of problems every now and then, let the state government take over this land and build that. And to some extent, that those kind of conflicts have reduced. I'm not saying they have totally gone, So government will try as much as to establish either a
buffer zone kind of.
Between those boundaries, either establish a military camp or police posts to ensure that they check, the people that always. If you go to Abia State from Oborokara to get to Umuahia, there's the boundary between Akwa Ibom State, that's Oborokara, and the next local government in Abia State. You see a military post there, and it's checking those kind of boundary conflicts. And so even though in itself it also have a way of creating other problems, because I see sometimes they stop the market women who are going from Oborokara to Abia to sell plantain oil and things like that, and stop them for whatever reason. They stop them. I don't know why should they be stopped, and stop and ask for something.
Maybe they need visa too.
Okay, yeah. Maybe they want to authenticate their reason to go and sell in another state, so stop them. So these are some of the ways that government try to checkmate this boundary problem, this crisis. Government, like I said, is not resting. They are working night and day to ensure that there is no conflict, there is peace in their different states and their different domains.
Right.
So, but they have not done enough.
All right, Dr. You've made a number of valid points. You mentioned that there are some people in government that are gaining from insecurity. At the same time, you've also mentioned that the government that are not gaining from the insecurity are doing, but they are not doing enough. In times where, okay, there's already insecurity, I'm using the North as a case study here.
Yes.
So there's pockets of insecurity there, and it's very sad when they move on to schools to pick large number of students, most of them or if not all, innocent students, just for large ransoms, or sometimes they be like the Chibok girls that we have not even heard the last of. How can the government make sure that the school is a safe and neutral space?
Very simple but difficult question to answer. How can government do to ensure that there is safety in schools? So far, many governments have tried to raise perimeter fencing as part of security to the schools. Perimeter fencing. Most primary schools in those days didn't have perimeter fencing, but these days governments have provided that. Government have also tried to. I'm saying what I see and what I know that's happening. Government also employed some security staff and placed them at the security posts of most of these schools, but a very worrisome situation that government is supposed to reject, let me use that word, the military and the police and every other security agencies in the country, because they are supposed to be the one to, apart from the military, that is supposed to take care of the external aggression and the things that are beyond the internal insecurity. Police, that's the work of the police force. is looking. If you ask a policeman, he said, how will we, go and fight the headsmen, the this and that and that, when their own ammunitions surpasses their own. And the question I ask is, how did these people come together in the first place? And how did they acquire these ammunitions? And where did they get them from? That the government was still there. Because that is what the government should have stopped. Using intelligence. How is our intelligence agency working? How are they feeding the government with intelligent information? Oh, there's going to be an attack at so and so place. If the intelligence should bring that up, and the police will stop the thing before it takes place. The intelligence agency, the police, and the entire security. In fact, even the what do you call the name just skipped my.
Is it the state vigilante?
No, not the vigilante. The ones that wear blue.
Navy?
No, not Navy. They used to be at the Baya Street. I've forgotten the.
Okay, civil defense.
Something. Civil defense. Yes, civil defense has a lot of role to play in public schools like this, in public facilities. They have serious role to play, and others. Therefore, government should look into those agencies and see if they are truly working, or they are just there to take government money and eat and just relax. Those security agencies are not supposed to work like this in normal civil service, where people say government work no be today go finish. I go today, I'm not fit, I sit in my house, my salary will still come. That's the attitude, general attitude of the civil service and civil servant. And it's not supposed to into the security agencies. Security agencies are supposed to work night and day, and ensure that there is enough security for our students, our children, especially in the public. Okay, how is it working in the private schools, both private, nursery, secondary? Is because the owners of those schools are paying serious attention to the children, to the facilities, to everything. That's why you've not heard. It's hard to hear, because I'm not praying it should happen. Therefore, government should pay particular attention to these schools. The way it works in the private sector, they should also, apply some of those models to see that there is sufficient and enough security for our children, because these are children. They say, according to them, are the future, the leaders of tomorrow. But I don't know when that tomorrow whether it will ever come.
All right, let's now go on to Melting Points Monday on Memories 96.5 FM, and we're looking at education and we have a erudite lecturer and public affairs analyst here with us in the studio to do justice to that issue. Now, let me come to you. The traditional custodian of the custodians of the laws and traditions and of the people there. Yeah. Do you think they have been properly, educated on the new security techniques to follow by the government in order to translate that to their different domains or communities? Because there are some of them who may have the wherewithal, but the exposure and the latest information on security matters elude them, and so they cannot really control their domains and play effective leadership or part they should play at the local or traditional levels.
Well, it's just like you said, they are the custodians of the laws and customs of the people, and you know, some of the traditional rulers sometimes will think, I'm sorry to say that they still think that the wall is still where it was when they first came up as traditional rulers. Some of them have moved from being the village family heads to village head, from village head to clan heads, and then to paramount rulers. Yet they're still thinking that the wall is still where it was when they first came to the traditional stool. The wall has moved far beyond. You know, I always like to use my uncle to measure. I hold a smartphone. My uncle holds one small Nokia phone. So when we sit together, he's talking and still talking and thinking that this is the same nephew of his that he knew, and still thinking the way he brings up his perspective of things. He doesn't know that I have my mind, my thinking have gone far beyond because of this little machine in my hand. Whereas he's only just to receive, he doesn't even read text messages. He doesn't know how to access that. He's only just to receive calls. If he wants to call, he calls somebody to call and scroll the number and call the person. And so to him, he has reached a zenith. Are you getting it? Whereas to me, I feel, how does this man even survive? And he's surviving because he doesn't know this other.
The fear of the unknown.
What I have known. Are you getting me? I'm looking at him, I'm being very backward. But he feels he has attained his enemy. That's the same way the traditional rulers will feel they have reached a zenith because they don't know what is happening today.
Latest security.
The latest security techniques and tactics and system. Because they don't know. How will you bother about what you don't know? Are you getting me? So I want to say that the government should expose these traditional rulers to trainings and retrainings and so on and so forth, to conferences, to work manner of things.
To be up to date with
Up to date. They may not also know how to operate this thing, but government should also employ aids to them. Let me give you an example. Do you know that as lecturers, our promotion lies in citation now, and it is mostly done with the internet. So some of us who are versatile with the internet, our citation have gone very high, because when we publish, you are expected to put your article online. First of all, you don't publish with analog journal that does not have a DOI, that can, be that is internet compliant. You publish with internet compliant journals, so that once you do that, you now put your article in the internet. There are some set of people, please let me not mention them, because there are some set of people who have been ahead of us many years back, who find it difficult to now begin to come and start learning this process of internet stuff. Whereas we who are, we are not the Gen Z, but and if you check, you see that the Gen Zs are even sometimes better than us, because I don't know how they learn this thing, and they are very good at it. So those who have been before us find it difficult to access this new method. So that is why I said that government should employ, because even no matter how you train the older traditional rulers, sometimes they may not even know what you are training them to do. Sometimes they will not have the zeal to train, and sometimes if they come for the training, it's just because of the moral. I mean
stipends.
The things that are that makes it convenient for them to, so they will come out, but they may not even know what you are actually talking about. Therefore, you have to employ the new generation of, to aid them, to help them, to advise them, and so on. Just like we do in the university, we just get the detail of one big man and so on. Let me not describe the big man, and help them to put their things. And then, see, this thing is work, and they are excited, as we are excited, and say, so this is how this thing works. Okay, you ask him to do, okay, sir, I've helped you to do it now. He's like, you think I'm just that is as easy as that, so you keep helping them. We become aides, just like you have a secretary, a typist, who is helping the commissioner, helping the permanent secretary, and so on. These traditional rulers cannot do this thing all alone. They need help, they need aids. Like you have the governor, you have commissioners and the rest of it, helping him, advising him, the president, the ministers, and so on and so forth, helping him to succeed. Yeah. The same way, the traditional rulers need some assistance around
Thank
them.
you very much, Dr. Odo. Now, let me take you back to one of the first questions that that I asked you, and you mentioned that education has a vital role in peace building. Yeah. This has to be one of the reasons that the course, peace building and conflict resolution, was introduced into the curriculum in the first place. Do you think that we have seen the impact of this introduction, or what are the challenges? Why hasn't it been implemented? Why aren't you seeing a difference?
It's in the curriculum, and one of the benefits of that is that all the students who have been taught on peace and conflict resolutions and so on and so forth are aware. They have the awareness of this. In fact, if you call any university student, graduate, and ask about, you see his perspective about how peace, how there should be no conflict in the society and so on, because he has at least somehow been introduced to, according to what you've just said, because of the curriculum. But does he have the power to implement it? The implementation lies directly with the government. If government wants peace, there will be peace. If government does not want total peace, there will be no total peace. There will be some level of peace here, and some level of conflict here, and a pocket of conflict here and there, and so on. The total, what I mean is that the total implementation of peace lies with the government.
All right.
What the government wants is what we see.
Okay, listener, you can be part of this discussion by dialing 0809 066 69085775. There's a call here. Hello, good morning. Yeah, good morning. Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Akwan.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Akwan, good to have you.
Yeah, we're listening.
Hmm. Thank you very much, Akpan. Okay,
Thank you,
taking
Akpan.
calls 0803 085 7755 or 0809 066 6909. That number also serves as our WhatsApp number, so you could go drop a message there on WhatsApp 0809 066 6909. We're streaming live on Facebook. That is 965 FM, and we have some comments there. Let's quickly read them out. Godwin that says, good morning, Queen of the Airwaves and your distinguished guests. Our leaders must prioritize education hugely. Perseverance, Los Angeles, California says, security should be everybody's business. Carlton Alexander, salutes to you, Queen of the Airwaves. Mostly speaking, insecurities and insurgent vigilance. And then Bro John says, good morning to you all. The state government and the federal government should invest in technological advancement by placing CCTV cameras and drones there, by aiding information about the modus operandi of non-state actors. Also, how are the welfare of the security officials in living up to the expectations towards their duties? And also, the Nigerian army should be able to gather engineers that are able and capable to manufacture warfare, even nuclear warfare, that can scare off insurgency and banditry, thereby making Nigeria a no-go area. Secondly, education sector is still primitive in Nigeria, especially in Akwa Ibom State. The governor is repainting schools. What happens to the number of out-of-school children? What happens to quality and quantitative education when laptops are given to children to start early in gaining knowledge for their future endeavors? And also make sure facilities in public schools are upgraded to date for optimum performance. I rest my case. And lastly, we have from Murphy, Philadelphia, politicians are not interested in educational sector because their children are not, and they are not on the same page with the common citizens. So let's call a spade a spade. Thanks. Alright, we're still taking more messages. We're just going to get reactions right now from the guests, but you could keep your calls coming in on the numbers 0803 085 7755 or 0809 066 6909. Alright, Dr. Odo.
Yes. You know, one of the people that have sent in messages said that the government is not taking education seriously because their children are not in the same page with the children of the public, members of the public. I think what she means, that's one of the factors that is making education to look the way it is. You feel that the schools you have here cannot accommodate your children, either because of the standard of education or because of insecurity. So you take your children abroad. You send your children abroad to go and study while these ones languish here. So what will you really do? And whereas you're sending hard currencies but to
Doctor, let's pause you for a bit.
Please,
Let's
have a
take
call
this
here.
call.
Hello.
Hello, good morning, Kevin. We
Very
can
well.
hear you.
We can hear you. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Thank
good
you
morning.
very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, Doctor.
Okay, so I was saying that that because most of the government functionaries send their children to study abroad, and that brings about is capital flight. They muster our money and send abroad to pay school fees, very high, expensive school fees, and so on. So their attention is mostly, they pay attention mostly to those foreign schools where their children are than the school that are around their environment, and that becomes one of the most serious factors that has led to the level of education, downward trend of education in our country today. So that's a very serious factor also.
Okay, yeah, the governors are not left out of this. They vote on a monthly basis, and they've not done, I don't know if they've done proper, education on the latest tactics or the latest innovations that should be adopted, or they've not spent, or have they spent enough on education? Let me stop there.
Okay, security vote is not supposed to be spent on education. It's supposed to be spent on security. According to the name, I hope I've answered. So,
I think what Utsila meant to ask is when the budget is out.
Okay.
The percentage, the allocation.
Yes, I think that's the better way of putting it.
Yeah, the financial.
Yes, whether the government have have budgeted enough for education. If you compare what what we have in capital projects and then compared to education, you see that education is the vote for education is so low. And that speaks of the mind of the government. If I look at the federal government, what they have voted, look at the way they are treating the ASU.
That's a whole new chapter. But
okay.
let's take our last call before we go into that ASU matter.
Okay.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Yes.
Track record.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Dr. Odo,
Yes.
we have just a minute left. I don't know if I can take this call, if this person can be done in 30 seconds.
30
Hello, good
seconds,
morning.
please. Yeah.
Good morning and welcome to the program. Please, your name, you have 30 seconds.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Sure. See.
Pity. Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
All right. Thank you. We have to go.
Hmm.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We have the last message on Facebook says from Esquire Scotland, let Akwa Ibom language, Ibibio language should also be on BBC as other contemporary languages in order to promote our language in a wide range. Thanks, Dr. Odo. 30
Yes.
seconds.
All right.
Okay.
Your parting shot.
Yes. I want to say that the government should continue to do their bidding in terms of ensuring that there is peace and tranquility in our communities. And just like the last caller said about opening up, I mean the penultimate caller before the last, he said talk about the village head's child being involved, those kind of things. Then the last one said that you bring a report to the police, and the police now open up and
Disclose the
informant. That shows the level of porosity that I was talking about. Therefore, the security agencies, government should try to overhaul. However, they are going to do that, but the security agencies need total overhauling.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time here. Shall you come in on such short notice? Thank you. The phone lines are still putting. Sorry, we cannot take more calls.
Sorry, we can't take more calls. We're out of time.
Yeah, we have just 2 minutes left and we got to go. Thank you very much, Dr. Wanabasi Udo, lecturer in the Department of Public Administration at Akwa Ibom State University, and also a political and public affairs analyst. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, listener, we've come to the end of the program, The Melting Point of Memory 96.5 FM. Today, the 9th of September 2024, also celebrated as the International Day for the Protection of Education Against Attack. Do well to have a lovely day. I'll be back again for the news at midday. My name is Sharon Mandor.
I am Anifiok. Enquiry. Thank you for joining us.